Hey, what's up guys on Patreon? This is 3D Bonfire back with an amazing tutorial, and this time we talk about asteroid belt effects. We will talk about a setup to get different levels of complexity. So we have more loose areas, we have more dense areas. We will also vary the size of our asteroids, and if we combine all of this together, we achieve a beautiful effect like this. Alright, so you can see, to be honest, I had problems with my PC, and that's why part of this video is in hardware preview, but hey, I just call it process video. Okay, cool. So I think enough of the talking, let's just hop into Cinema 4D and have some fun, right? Alright, welcome to Cinema 4D, your favorite program where you spend half of your lifetime, right? At least that's what I do. Okay. Don't know if it's a good decision, but I choose this life path and it's too late to change it. So, alright, I think we want to grab a sphere. Let's just rebuild our planet once more. A little bit of repetition is not so bad. So let's say this is our planet. We can also call it Mars. Okay, cool. I just give it a lot of subdivisions. Let's check them. I think that's enough. Of course, if you just like to have it in an even subdivision, go for icosahedron, but to be honest, it doesn't matter. So this is our planet. Okay, so let me think about what I should do with it. I think I can make this more beautiful, right? So how about we just apply a material? And if you wonder where you can get beautiful textures, I would say you just Google for Mars-Pluto texture. This is a little bit of a mix-up here. So how about Mars texture? You can also add NASA to your mix. They provide you with 4K or 8K or even 16K Mars textures. Also for other planets like Pluto, I guess. Let's also try something like the Venus. A lot of possibilities here. Of course, you can use World Creator or other stuff to create your own textures here, but hey, let's just go with the easy way. Alright, so this is looking awesome, right? Let's look into our Octane viewer, and oh man, this is such a dark galaxy. So how about we just put a little bit of light into it? And I like to go with targeted area lights. Maybe we should also put an Octane camera into it and decide for a preferred camera angle. I already set my format to an portrait Instagram format, so height and width, you can check it there. Okay, so since we also want to have our asteroid belt beautifully in the camera view, I would say we just go with a planet with this size, for example. I think that's good. And let's just right click on it, go to, oh man, I always forget it. No, it's in rigging text protection. Perfect. So we can't mess up our camera anymore. Okay, cool. Let me just jump out of the camera. Okay, uncheck camera so I can go out of it.Maybe I should just activate my viewer, my live viewer here. So go out of the camera. And now let's just move the slide to the side. Maybe we just want it from here. Okay. Let's put it up. Okay, this has a Stanley Kubrick 2001 feeling already. And let me just see. I think this is not intense enough. So put it to 1000, put it to 3000, put it to 4000. Okay, that's good. Let me see what happens if I just make it wider. I'm not sure about it. No, I just want to have it more directional. And I think I just move it a little bit back. And a little bit and a little bit to the side. Okay, so we will see how this is working. I think we just want to have a little bit more light on our planet. Let's just duplicate it, and I call this one is my red light. And I just go with a temperature of 1000. And let me just put this one to the bottom. So this is just my initial light setup. I'm not sure if this will be the most beautiful one, so maybe it's more like an ambient light from here. Let me check it. Let's put this one to just 100. Okay, it's working. Maybe we just duplicate it and took our initial light here and just put this one to something around 5000. Okay, and so this is actually our orange light. And the red one, we just put this one really to the bottom. Let's say this one has 500. Okay, it's still too much. Maybe like this. Let's check this once more. Put this one to 500. Okay, I think this is a little bit dull, so just put it back to 100 or even 50. Let's put it to 10 just to get a hint of ambient light here. Okay, 20 is good. And I think my red light could be... let me just see. No, that's not a good decision. That is not a good decision. All right, what am I doing? So let's just leave it here, make it smaller, make it a bit weaker, put it to 300. And for now, this is okay. So let's just continue. We can still fix it and make it better. We also need to see how it is interacting with our asteroids. And yeah, so this will be changed later. Okay, perfect. So let's continue. And I think we want to have some volume here, okay? Some atmosphere for our planet. And even if it is a dead planet, I think we just want to have this atmosphere because it looks beautiful, okay? So let's go to objects and let's say we want to have a fog volume. Let's check our planet again. The radius is 350, so the diameter should be 700 if I'm not totally stupid. So let's just put all of this to 700. Okay, so this beautiful volume cube SN is a perfect capsule around our sphere, but I think we need to just make it a little bit bigger. Not that much. Let's put it to... Sorry, what am I doing? So put it to 730 maybe. All right, and I would say we just make a duplicate of our Mars. And let's call this one volume diameter to be a little bit precise in our naming. Let's put it into our volume. Okay, so let me just get rid of the Mars for a second. So you can see we have a sphere of our volume now. And I think we need to make it a little bit bigger than the original radius. So let's say this one is 360. Okay, so you can already see the atmosphere around our planet. Maybe we just want a hint of it. Okay, let's put it to this one. I think that's not so bad. For some reason, it seems like it is shifted a little bit off center. So let's see. Let me change this one. Let's see what happens with 5. Okay, so put it to 2.5. I think that's good. Okay, so now it feels more centered. That's beautiful. And let's say we go into our volume and change the parameters just a little bit. So let's see. The voxel size, I mean, for this camera angle it works, but I guess later we should go down to something like 3 or even 2. Let's see, when we put it to 10, you should see some stepping, okay? Let's put it to 20. So you can see this is pretty ugly, but the standard value of 5 is already working. It's not so bad. I can see a little bit a hint of stepping here. So let's just put it to 3 and I think we're good. Okay, so go into the medium. I would say the density, let me see, maybe this could be denser. So you just have to play with these parameters a little bit. Let me just change the step length. I think this will make it more dense and more precise. So it will just be, simple answer is it just will look better. Okay, let me say this one will be, let me say 0.3. Okay, let me put it back to, let me just see what happens. 1 is also okay. Just play with it. So I'm not a totally expert with it, but to be honest, you don't have to be if you know how to make it look good. So I think that's fine for now. I just want to change my strong backlight here. I think this could be something like 8000. Okay, that's better. And I already can see I just want to have more of the light on my planet. Okay, so I just move this one up and I get more brightness here. Maybe I just give it even more. Okay, so it shouldn't be so super dark. And I think this is a better light setup here. So go closer to your planet again. And I think if we go into our medium, let's just change the absorption and scattering a little bit. All right, so sometimes I just play with this stuff and I want to get similar color tones as we have in our planet texture. So maybe I just go with a bright brown tone here. Let's see. Does it even change anything? So let me go to enable A/B comparison and store the render buffer. Let me put this one to blue, for example, and let's see what is happening. Let's get out of the focus picker, I'm sorry. So, okay, to be honest, this was just a random choice here, but blue is also looking cool. But I think we stay to a more realistic look, so put it to a brown tone. And I think this is believable that the atmosphere will catch up the light that is bouncing back from the landscape. So this is looking good. Maybe we can also intensify it just a little bit, go more into the red tones. Okay, and I think this looks like a really hot desert planet. I think this is working. Let me just check the scattering. Sometimes if I don't know what to do, I just try it with some crazy color. Okay, so obviously this is a bad choice. So go to a similar tone, I would say something like that. Okay, so this is colorizing it really intensely. So I think we need to be a little bit careful with the intensity. So just go with something like this. And to be honest, I think this is already working. So let's don't make this over complicated. Let me see, the scattering phase is changing how the light is bouncing back into your camera, into your eye. I think that's the explanation. So, okay, sorry, let me put it to 0. Let's go and say store render buffer. So this is how it looks right now. And let me see what is happening when I just put it to the left. Okay, so this is pumping out strength, intensity. So it doesn't work for me. Let's see the other side. Okay, so it doesn't really change so much. I think it is just how much of the reflecting light is coming back into your camera. We can be satisfied if we just keep it at the default value. Let me just store the render buffer once more, and I just want to check my density again. So let's put it back to 10, for example. Okay, so this is a really weak atmosphere. Let's put it to 100. Always in comparison to the value of 700 to the right. And I think, let's see, do we really need like a atmosphere of 700? It feels a little bit intense, so maybe 100 is already okay. So I think 100 is working better. I like the more subtle gradient here. Let me just store the render buffer once more, and let me once more check the volume step length. So if I don't know what the parameter is really doing, I just change it and compare it. So let's see. All right, so this is making it into the highest resolution possible. I think this is why it takes so long. So don't go so crazy to the left. Let's say 0.1. Okay, let's put it to 0.5. I think, to be honest, we don't really need to care about this parameter, but you can see how the light is breaking up in these areas is definitely changing. Interesting. Does it look better? I'm not sure. Maybe we just go back to 1. And I think this is totally okay for me. So yes, it's like a dark Sith Lord desert planet. Okay, perfect. So let's get out of the comparison. And I think this is already a beautiful atmosphere and a beautiful planet. Okay, let's continue. Asteroid belts, that's the topic, right? We don't want to waste too much time with our planet, so I think it is time to go into our asteroid belt setup. And let me just give you a quick refresher here, a quick reminder how to do it. And I know if it's boring, then jump ahead 5 minutes, but I think it is time to just make a simple asteroid once more. So put this one to, I would say 50, that's good enough. Go to the displacer, put it in your sphere. And let's see if we just can repeat the process once more. So go to noise, go into it, and I would say, I just pick my favorite noise. It's Voronoi 1. And voila, we have a beautiful asteroid. Of course not. So let's just put this one to 500. Okay, that's better. Let me just check the shading without lines. I mean, this is also looking like a delicious cereal you can eat in your milk in the morning, but I think it's just because of the wrong scaling. So put it to 800, go out of it, go to object and put this one to 30. Let me see how this is looking in a subdivision surface. That's not so bad. Actually, just put it to 1. We don't need so many subdivisions. And I would say, Why not? Why won't we use this one as an asteroid? I think it's already looking good enough. So let me just check the segments. We have actually a lot of them, but I think this won't be a big problem for X particles. Maybe we just reduce it a little bit, put it to 50. These are really strange polygons, right? But I don't think it's a problem. It's like honeycomb polygons. Sounds more delicious than it really is. So let's see. I think when we zoom out, to be honest, we even don't need subdivision surface on this one. I think we can get away without it. So let's just put it out of this one. Let's put it back to 60. And I think this could be our first asteroid. So let's make a copy, put it there, go inside of the displacer, go into the noise, and let's just change it a little bit. I think this is good. Let me just change the height with this one. And let's say we also want to change the global scale to something around this value. Okay, that's cool. And I think one more variation will be good enough. So let's say this one has a displacer in it with a height of 80. Okay, cool. Let's go inside the seed. Let's just play with it. I think this is looking good. Let's put this one to 2000. Put it to 3000. No, this is too round. Put it to somewhere around there. Let me just check this one. Okay, I like this one. It's more like a delicious candy, I'm not sure, but hey, it's okay. So let's say we convert all of these ones to polygon objects, and let's see, I'm sorry. So let's select all of them, right click and say current state to object. That's good. Kill the previous ones, and let's see if we can just fine tune them just a little bit. So I would say we can, we don't really need to care about these artifacts, but I'm a bit nitty picky if this is a correct English term. So let's go to mesh and let's say we take our sculpting brushes. Okay, so why don't we just have some fun here? And I think, man, I should have switched my Wacom tablet on. Now I have just my clicking mouse here, but I think we can still do it. So let's just go inside of it and let's put the smooth here. Let's put the size to 50, let's put it to 60, and let's just smooth this one a little bit, okay? So it's just like taking care of your cloth, get rid of the wrinkles. I never do it, but I'm just like this in Cinema 4D. So let's just make it a little bit more smooth. And I think, look. So you can see this is looking fine, okay? Of course, you can also grab, let's see, the wax if you really need it, put it to 60 and just put a little bit of wax on it. So give it more volume here. Maybe you also want to flatten pieces of it. So give me 60. So I just make more of an angle here. And you could have fun with this one, but let's just say this is good enough for us. So I just repeat it with the other two stones. This will make the tutorial like a minute longer, but you can fast forward here if this is too boring for you. So I just go over these angles. Of course, you could also use a smooth deformer or something not so labor intense, but I just take the minute that this asteroid deserves. So I think this is looking good. Let's go up to the last one. Make it just a little bit smooth here and there. And I think, yes, this is my favorite one. Looks so delicious. Okay, cool. So we have 3 asteroids. And I would say, just because we can do it, I just duplicate this one, hold down MI for the magnet tool, and let's say we take it with a radius of 300 and let's just stretch the hell out of it. So let's say this one is a little bit of a longer one. Okay, that's good. Let's duplicate this one once more. Let's put it to the side. Okay, MI for the magnet tool, I just go with 150. And now I just give it more volume here. Let's shrink it here. So maybe we just want to cut this one off like this one. Okay, that's cool. Let me just move it once more. So go around the border here. And I think that's good. Maybe, okay, this looks a little bit artificial. So flatten it just a little bit. Okay, that's good. Flatten it, smooth it. And this looks like a beautiful rock, right? All right, you don't have to worry so much about size variations because we do this in our X particle setup, but maybe just to have already a little bit variation in our asteroids, you could do it. So I just scale them down a little bit. This one could be bigger. Okay, so this is working for me. And let's say, okay, maybe I just flatten this, or I just magnet tool it a little bit. So let's say this one is also a little bit more pronounced to this side. So let's say this is our crazy troop of asteroids. So let's have fun with them. And you know what? Now comes the most fun part of this tutorial. So be very careful what I do now. So this is just pure magic. Okay, so hold down Shift C and let's say we want to grab the naming tool. Man, this is such a pro technique. Okay, so just grab your naming tool and let's select all of these spheres. And you can see I already put it in there. Okay, so replace sphere with asteroid. And okay, so nothing is happening. But if you uncheck this one, oh man, so such a powerful technique, right? Okay, so this is already worth like the whole tutorial. Okay, cool. So let's continue with these ones. I just copied them and put them into my scene. All right, so let's just put our asteroids here. They're just a little bit big in comparison, right? So let's make them smaller. And we don't want to have them in view, so let's just put it down here. So we want to make an asteroid belt around our planet. Let me just check the radius. So I just grab a disk to see what works in the scene. So I think maybe we want to have a belt in this size, for example. Maybe this is working. Something like that, okay. And okay, so I think that's not so bad. Let's say the outer radius is 600. Let's say the inner one is 380. I just can't work with not round numbers here, so that looks good. Okay, cool. So let's just say we have a volume ring here. Okay, for some reason my cinema is getting a little bit slow here. Interesting. So why don't we just check both of them and put them back to a voxel size of 5. This will just be faster in your viewport. Okay, perfect. So the volume ring, I think maybe first I need to make this cube a little bit bigger. Okay, so put it to 1200, 1200. Okay, so this will be big enough for our volume ring. So let's just put the size to, let's say 20. I'm not sure. It doesn't even show up in the renderer. So let's put this one to 40. And I think it's of course because our volume diameter here is not big enough. So let's see what is happening when I just put this one to 1000. Okay, let's make this one invisible. Let's put it to 800. Let's put it to 700. So I just need to get closer to these numbers, something around here. Let's put it to 600. No, this is too small. Let's go with this one. Let's go back into this one. And I think we just need to push this a little bit bigger. So we have 1400. So we could make our diameter of our volume disk here to, I guess it should be 700 now, right? Let's not be too close to the border, so put it to 680. So maybe one thing I already need to change is go into the medium settings. Let's go inside of it. Let's just change the density to a way smaller value. Okay, this is already feeling like a believable ring of dust, but you can see here is some crazy artifact. Maybe we can fight it if we just go into the generator and change the voxel size. Let's see if this is getting better. I can still see it, so go to 2. Does it even help with it? I'm not sure. It doesn't really help. I think this is not depending on the voxel size. So let me just go back into the medium. Does it have to do with the density? Okay, I can still see it. So that doesn't help. Let's change this one to 0.2. Now it gets even more obvious. So let me try to find out what's the problem here. Let's see. When I just decrease it further, it's barely noticeable now. And since we want to mix a lot of stones, like all the asteroids into it, you won't even see this artifact. I just wanted to be sure about where this is coming from. So let me just halve this once more. Does this really help to change the parameter? And I think this has something to do with the precision. Okay, so volume step length. Yes, it has to do with the tiniest distance of the steps here. So now you really can't barely see it. I think this is really good. So I just think the density is way too high. So put it to 0.1. I think that's better. So it just should be like a little helping volume for all of our asteroids. It doesn't have to be super dense, but I think 0.2 is better. And let me just play with the color. I think this is a bit too intense. Does it help if I change it? Okay, so I think this is not so bad. So this will just be an additional effect for our asteroids. It helps just to get the impression that there is a thin dust of really, really small particles or just rock pieces. So I think this is working. Now I guess it would be the time to really put our asteroids into this belt here. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. Why don't we just increase our render speed here? If we just get rid of the volume ring and the volume for the planet, and I think now we should be back with really high speed in the scene. So let me just go back to check the camera. Okay, so this is working. All right, so how about we just go, okay, let me just put this one to the side, X particles, and let me grab an emitter. Okay, and I just put it somewhere that doesn't really matter. Put it, for example, here. I just paused the live viewer. It just gets a little bit distracting. Okay, and I hold down Shift V to just get rid of my tinted borders here. So we have a clean space to work with. How broad, how wide should this one be? I think it's a good idea to activate the ring once more so we can just see our emitter in comparison, and I think this will be a good size. Okay, perfect. So put it even to 300. Let's just put it to 290. I think that's good enough. Okay, so we just matched the width to our belt, and now let's get our particles to work. Let's activate the emitter, and let me just already give this way more frames. So maybe we just put it to 0 to 1500. Okay. And okay, so I think it will be helpful to show me the size parameters. Okay, so I just go to my emitter, go to the display. Let's make it a little bit bigger, or maybe I just get rid of the live viewer for just a second here. Let me give me more screen estate and go there and put this one to boxes. Okay, so this will slow down my FPS just a little bit. Let me check it. Is it really the case? Yes, it's 140, and when I change it to boxes, so it will just be a little bit less fast, but it is still real time. Okay, perfect. These boxes, I think we want to vary our scale of the particles, and therefore we will get a pattern of bigger asteroids and small asteroids. Maybe for now I just reduce the amount a little bit. We want to give them first variation in the radius. So let's say there's a radius of 2 and we have a variation of 1.5, for example. So the biggest one is 3.5 and the smallest one is 0.5. Okay, so this is working for me, and now I know nothing about physics in outer space, so I think I just want to give it something that is more interesting, and I say they will vary in speed by their size. Okay, so the radius will tell them how big they are, and I want to say smaller ones, they have less resistance, less air resistance. I know this is a bad joke because obviously we are in a vacuum, but I just keep it like that because it will look more beautiful and way more interesting. So let's say smaller asteroids, they will move faster, and bigger ones, they will move slower. It doesn't make sense, I know, but let's just do it like this because it looks cool. I hold down Shift C and let's say, is there something like a speed modifier? Yes, there it is. Okay, so the speed modifier, I think this will just override our speed in the emitter. Let's just check this one. No, it doesn't do that. And of course, it's because we need to change the operation to, I think we need to change it to absolute. Let's put this one to 10. So now this one will totally override the speed inside here. So just to be clear, put this one to 0. And now all of the speed would be changed in the speed parameter of the XP speed. Okay, so let me just see how fast should they move actually. So I think 80, or let's put it to 100. I think 100 seems to be a good speed, but I say it and then I don't mean it and I just change it. So put it to 150 and put it to maybe a variation of 50 or 20. So here is already a small variation, okay? But the main variation will depend on the scale. So therefore, let's meet our friend mapping and let's say we add some mapping here. And let's say, what do we want to map? We want to map the speed value to the age. No, that doesn't make sense. Here we already have, for example, some something, if we change it, some engine fire of a spaceship. This is not the tutorial here, so let's change the speed value depending on, where is it? Let's make it depending on the particle radius. And we have a radius variation inside here, so this should change our movement. And why doesn't it work? Because we have a range minimum of 0.5. I already did the math for us, so let me just double check this one. So yes, the variation, so the smallest one should be 0.5 and the biggest one's 3.5. So this is working, but now I don't really like the effect. Okay, so I think first we should invert it. Let me just give me more screen estate here, put it down there. So now the smallest ones, they will move faster than the big ones. But the big ones, they already come to a full stop here. That doesn't make so much sense. We want to move them, but they should just be slower than the tiny ones. Okay, and I think this seems to be a good size variation here and a speed variation. So don't go to 0 here, that doesn't make sense, but I think this is already the effect we want to achieve. So this is looking good, I'm satisfied. So let's say this is our speed and size variation and let's continue. All right, so just activate your fantasy and let's say, wow, so beautiful, these asteroids, right? Can you feel them? I can't because I don't have so much fantasy, but I think we want to give them also some rotation. So this feels more like a mathematical matrix. And I think we just want to have rotation. So by default, you don't have rotation parameters in your particles because it is just more render intensive, more stuff to calculate. But now I activated it. So just use rotation. And let's see. I just need to find out how this is working. Let's put it to 10. I think this is just like a fixed parameter. So this one doesn't make so much sense. What happens if we put this one to random? Okay, I just want to see. Okay, let me just double check this one. Let's go to the speed and change my speed to only 50. I just want to see, sorry. I just want to see if this is just a fixed parameter or are they continuing to rotate. This is just seems like a fixed parameter, right? So let me just double check it. They won't continue to turn. Okay, so you can see I just learned this while I'm going. I need to refresh my knowledge also. So you can see, let's put this one back to, or let's leave it at 10 for now so we can better see the changes. So go into my emitter, go into the extended data, the rotation, and we have set it to a random parameter. So far so good, but now we want to give them additional spin, all right? And there is already the keyword. So hold down Shift C and say spin. Let's grab an XP spin. Okay, and let me see this one. What happens if I put this one to 10? Wow, this is super intensive. Let's put it to 1. And I think you already can see the slight movement here. So they rotate. I think this is looking beautiful. And because they already have an initial different random rotation for all of them, they all rotate in different directions and angles. But you can be on the safe side if you put a 1 in all of these ones. I think there is an additional parameter here, so I guess you could also achieve the same result. Let's see. Let's see what happens if I just put the random spin here. Let's see. So they are static. What happens if I put this one to 10? Okay, so how about we put a 1 in all of these fields? And now these beautiful asteroids have beautiful rotation values. All right, these ones, they go a bit crazy, like they collided. So I think this is making it way more believable. Let me check it once more. So yes, so these ones, they will spin forever. Okay, perfect. So, oh, what did I do with my camera? Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so far so good. So let's see. I think we also want to give them not the same density along the whole width of our asteroid belt, but we want to have denser areas and not so dense areas. So how can we do that? Alright, this tutorial is getting already a bit long, so let's say we make a break here, and this is Asteroid Belt Part 1, and we will continue in Part 2. So see you in Part 2. Bye guys!